Good evening. It is now 10 p.m. on July 3rd, 2013, and you're listening to Depressive Realism. I am Phil. This is Brad.
How's it going?
So, on the way over here, I kind of talked to you about this earlier. I was kind of zoning out while driving. I was listening to the radio and everything, just getting caught up on some current events. One of the events that I know a lot of our, well, maybe not a lot of, but a couple of our listeners wanted us to talk about. We got from our email sent in was the Trayvon Martin case, and it kind of makes sense to talk about it today because there was actually a little bit of interference in the courtroom today. um, so the judge went ahead and said that the prosecutor, could use Zimmerman's school records from college in the case, saying that he was a wannabe cop. So are they saying that because he took classes in criminal justice or had aspirations of one day being a police officer, that this may have in turn made him into what he is? Or
I don't think taking any criminal law classes online will put you as a vigilante. I don't see how it's really relevant. It was pretty great though. There's a video online of the law. I guess it was the defense. They wanted to use Skype to Skype his criminal law professor, and it just got bombed and trolled by like a million people, and the judge got really pissed. Which I want to go on a point. If you're going to use in a professional environment, Skype's probably not the answer. There's so many like more professional. I mean, even they had to like actually just stop and use a landline. You could have used Cisco. You could have used a million other solutions that wasn't as bad as using Skype.
yeah, and like I said when we were talking at dinner, is like, I really don't understand what makes that person so important that they had to use Skype, or they couldn't have just been brought in. I'm sorry, but when you have a high profile case like this, you should probably be subpoenaed into the actual courtroom. This isn't some little private court, or a little private deal going on. This is a major event that involves a loss of a life, and I'm sorry, but no matter what you're doing, it's not too important to go to a courtroom to actually be a witness.
That's true, but how much information can you actually get from a online professor? I mean, any online class you take, the guy doesn't even know what I look like, let alone what my views are. I mean, they can tell you if you got good grades or not, I guess. You know, they could probably get all the information they wanted out of the guy just from like going online and going to the university's website and reading what the course was about, seeing
Oh,
if you got a good grade or not.
yeah, no, I agree. I think that the fact that they're using some of his college transcripts and his college records and everything, I don't really, I don't really see how that plays into that big of a role. I mean, in a way, I can kind of see, because yes, he may have been looking at all of this and saying, hey, this is what I should do as a potential law enforcement person. But at the same time, I don't think that just because someone's going to school for criminal justice, that it's gonna throw them into a whole vigilante justice thing.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to paint a certain picture about him to try to decide or influence the jury on why he would possibly shoot Trayvon. But I think, and when I look at this case, I think it's two extremes have met here. One, you have a young teen, which I remember as when I was a teenager, just being angry or angsty. He probably didn't like that fucking dude just following him. He wasn't necessarily looking for a fight, but I know if I was a kid, I don't feel like I need to answer anybody. If somebody was following me around, I'd probably get pretty pissed too. And then you have on the other side, you have a guy who feels that he needs to carry a weapon with him.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I support the Second Amendment, I'm a gun owner myself, but I don't feel the need to walk around strapped all the time.
Well, the thing, he wasn't just walking around just as a regular individual. He was actually walking around as part of a neighborhood crime watch deal, which if you look at most security companies that do walk around and patrol certain kinds of, say, apartment complexes or other neighborhoods like that, they actually do walk around and are licensed to carry their weapons. But on the same token, I'm not exactly defending what he did. I don't think that what he did is right, and I do honestly, in my opinion, believe that he's guilty. But he could have prevented all of this if he had just listened to what the 911 operator had told him. They told him don't pursue. They told him don't pursue. They told him, you already called it in. Let the people who are trained to do this handle that. And he
Yeah.
decided to take the law into his own hands. And I believe that he is entirely guilty. Now, one of the defenses was that Trayvon Martin had actually attacked him, and they brought in a DNA specialist who actually looked over everything and found that there was none of George Zimmerman's DNA underneath Trayvon Martin's fingernails, which, in the event of some kind of fight or anything like that, you would expect there to be DNA there.
I kind of don't. I'm not going with that because two grown men fighting. I mean, I can understand what they're getting at, and I guess if you watch a lot of CSI, that makes sense. But if you and me like fist fought, I don't think underneath either of our nails would have any DNA at all, unless you just start slapping me really hard and.
Well, I am known to throw an occasional bitch slap, but
Yeah. I don't think two men fighting, there's going to be that much under the nails.
Well, I mean, in all reality, though, whenever you're fighting and everything, whenever it comes down to life or death situations, you're going to do what you can to try and escape your aggressor. And I believe that, if things did get as close of an altercation as what Zimmerman says, there would have been some kind of DNA evidence somewhere on Trayvon Martin, but there wasn't.
I mean, he was pissed that guy was following him. I'm sure of that. I mean, I watched the video of his recount of it, and of course, there's two sides to every story. But with that, I don't see if you're because he looks like or from what the recount of the story was, he's attacking him and he was on top, and George Zimmerman shot him from the bottom. If you're on top of someone and you're punching them or you're grabbing their head and pushing it into concrete, I don't see how that's going to leave a mark or get underneath your fingernails or anything like that.
Yeah, but I mean, DNA is something that, it's in hair follicles, it's in everything. If he's grabbing a hold of him and he's shoving his head in the ground or whatever, he's going to end up with some kind of DNA tracer underneath his evidence from Zimmerman. I don't see how you could slam somebody's head into the ground or anything like that without getting some kind of DNA markings on your body.
Make a fist. If you make a fist and act like you're gonna hit something, I don't see how
Are you shoving people with a closed fist?
You might. I don't know.
It doesn't. See, it just doesn't seem to add up to me. It doesn't make too much sense in my personal opinion.
Now, when you say he's guilty, do you think Zimmerman's guilty of murder?
I believe that he's guilty of second-degree murder. It was unplanned. I don't think it should be dropped down to manslaughter with it being an accidental death. I think that his full intention was to end this young man's life.
See, I don't think it was an accidental murder by any charge, but I would go with manslaughter because I think he was defending him. I think he followed the wrong guy. He got his ass beat, and he thought he was gonna get possibly beat to death. So that's why he defended himself, which it's really his fault for the altercation to begin with. But I would say it's manslaughter because in the end, if you just go back to it, if let's say this old dude starts falling around, he's pissed off, he'd be like, hey, sorry man, I'm actually going down to apartment 303 and I'm visiting this person. I'm sure Zimmerman would be like, oh, okay.
I don't know. I mean, neither of us were there, so we can't really judge how the entire event played out.
Right.
And apparently the person that Trayvon Martin was on the phone with can't really voice her opinions on what happened without giving attitudes to just about everybody. But
way to go, key witness. Way to fuck up.
Yeah,
the prosecution.
She really discredited herself. That was a whole snafu in itself. But like I said, neither one of us were there, so we can't speak for either side. All we can do is give our opinions on what may or may not have happened.
I'm gonna go ahead and say he's getting manslaughter. I don't see him getting murder unless the prosecution really finds something to step up their game. I mean, this was shitty evidence. The lady that looks like Donna from Parks and Recreation was a shitty witness. They're doing a terrible job of prosecuting him. So I think at the most right now he's getting manslaughter.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait it out and see how the whole thing plays on.
Definitely.
So today in Egypt there was a huge announcement from Mohamed Morsi deciding to step down. I guess deciding is putting it lightly. He was kind of forced out
Yeah,
by.
he's given an ultimatum. You have 48 hours to meet these demands.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing for Egypt in general. Shifting their way into democracy and everything, but also getting rid of him, it really plays out in favor for America in general because he was associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, which, if you do a little research, you can find out that the Muslim Brotherhood is a extremist Islamic organization that they don't really do a lot of good things, but I guess to each his own. He's able to make his own decisions as a grown man, but when you have an entire country going against you,
Right.
you have to ultimately make what decision is going to prolong your life.
And this is the second revolution in 2 years. Do you see anything now when I look at that happening and that kind of revolution happening in that company, and then, not that company, country, and then you see the stuff that's starting to come out from like our country and the NSA and Snowden, I don't see us ever building up to anything close like that. Just because I don't see people caring enough.
It's hard to say whether our country could ever go through something like that. I think that our country as a whole, when it comes to the people, most of them don't really care that much. Just you can look at the statistics when it comes to voting and everything, that people just don't care that much. But I think that when you look at it from our country's perspective, you have a lot of checks and balances in place that kind of stop stuff from going to extremes and everything. Granted, they can nick us here and there with certain things, and it's easy for us to mistrust the government. But at the same time, I think that there's just enough put in place that no one's going to go to a huge extreme to really limit our rights.
Now, are you under the impression that as long as you don't have anything to hide, then the NSA is cool with recording like 1 out of every 5 phone calls you have?
If the NSA really wants to hear my phone calls to 1-900 hotlines, they can feel more than welcome to listen in. But no, I really don't. I mean, I don't think that they should be invading our personal rights by listening to our phone calls and everything that we consider our private matters. But at the same time, you have to look. They have prevented a few terrorist attacks and everything by doing this.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's always a really weak thing to go when they say like, oh, they foiled these plots, because they haven't foiled the ones that really matter. Like they didn't foil 9/11 and they didn't foil the Boston Marathon. So whenever they say like, oh, think about all the ones we did prevent, you're like, yeah, but all the ones that you didn't were kind of big too.
Yeah, it's really hard to look at it, and you can look at it and say, oh yeah, it's great that they were able to stop these ones, but what about these ones? I guess that you really have to just kind of look at it. Are you willing to sacrifice a little to defend a lot, or would you rather just not sacrifice anything at all and see what happens?
I don't know. The part that really bugs me about the NSA thing isn't really that they're listening to 1 every 5 phone calls, or maybe they see the shit I post on Facebook, which is, I mean, that's their loss anyway. That's moments of their life they're not getting back.
Right.
But the part that really bugs me when I start to really think about it is that let's say they're recording 1 every 5 of my calls, and they're doing that to everyone. That's a lot of storage. They're paying they're paying for data centers. I'm just thinking about taxpayer money. The data centers, the people who manage those data centers, people that listen to the phone calls, the people that manage the people that listen to those calls. I'm just picturing all this money that's just being pissed away, and I think that's the real tragedy in all that. I don't care if they hear me ordering a pizza from Papa John's, but I do care about the people that are getting paid to listen to me, and I'm paying taxes, and they're going to that.
Right. Well, yeah, no, that's completely understandable. But I mean, at the same time, if you want to talk about pissing away money, you just look at Congress spending $2 million in snacks and stuff just so they can get their Twinkie on. I don't see that that's exactly a good expenditure of the taxpayers' money either.
Yeah, there's definitely needs to be a reform in so many different areas, but
yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be looked at whenever it comes to how we're spending our budget and everything. But that's something that maybe the president should get his hands on and see what he can do. See if maybe he can cause some kind of reform going on there.
I doubt it. He's done like completely 180 of campaign Obama now. Like I'll go and admit it. I voted for Obama twice. I thought he was the better option both times. But the latest stuff that's coming out, I've really lost any faith in him doing anything better because he has no worry about being reelected again. So he's just going to go in and do whatever is best for what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's kind of the fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you.
Yeah.
Good thing there's not a opportunity for fool me 3 times.
Yeah.
But so in South Africa, Nelson Mandela. For those of you that don't know Nelson Mandela, he did a lot for the country of South Africa as far as their liberation and everything goes, and just getting their all-around human rights and everything going on. He was listed in very critical condition over the past couple weeks, pretty much clinging on to life. He recently got into fair enough condition that he could be moved back to his home, where now there's a huge debate in his family that's kind of tearing him apart between his oldest daughter and his grandson as to where he should be buried. His oldest daughter wants him buried near their current home, and his grandson wants him buried. I should also note that his grandson is looked at as the chief of the village that he's from. His grandson wants him buried at the village that Nelson Mandela was from, and the guy's not even dead yet, so I don't understand what they're going through all these pre-death burial routines for.
Yeah, that's always really dumb for the family to start arguing about it before. I mean, obviously you want to be prepared for any scenario like that, but it's really dumb to have that tear your family apart. One thing I did see kind of interesting or kind of, I don't know, crazy leading up to it was that the CIA actually helped lead to Mandela's arrest when he was arrested for 27 years. The CIA helped get him arrested and pinpoint where he was located.
Yeah, I mean, our country is known for doing questionable things and getting involved in affairs that don't really apply to us.
I don't know, I think if he's in good enough condition that he can actually still voice his opinion, has to do what he wants. Personally, I would like to be jettisoned into the sun. That's the most badass Viking burial I can think of for the 21st century. That way there's no tombstone, there's nothing left behind. Just shoot me in a rocket towards the sun, I'll burn up, and...
Well, now that we have that recorded, I'll make sure to keep a note of that. That way, whenever you do meet your demise, we can go ahead and... well, I was going to say we can go ahead and hook you up with NASA, but I don't see them building a rocket for you to be jettisoned into the sun anytime soon. So hopefully you take your time in meeting your demise.
Yeah, what's your plan?
My plan, I don't know. I haven't really thought too deeply into it. I would prefer for there to be a shrine built in my memory, and upon that shrine, I would like to have my ashes thrown into the air to where doves could eat that. And then as the doves fly away, I would like them to poop out my remains on the people around me. But
like a really shitty like Tibetan sky burial.
But at the same time, I've also thought about how I would like for my funeral to be. And before my shrine is built and my ashes thrown into the sky, I would like for my body to be stuffed and actually be at the doorway of my funeral. That way, when people are walking in, they could shake my hand and give their last respects and everything. I do expect to be taxidermied into a full cheesy smile, and either if I'm not going to be if my ashes aren't thrown into the sky, I would like to be made into a piece of furniture. You could push me up to the table, and grandkids could sit on my lap for dinner and everything. I would really appreciate that. I think that'd be a good way to go.
I don't know. Any kids sitting on your lap.
Well,
or even while you're still alive, we should hold off on that.
Well, that whole case got dropped against me, so we're good. So in sports news, Vinny Lecavalier, your beloved Lightning player,
beloved captain of, I'm not sure how long he was captain for, but he played for the Lightning for 14 years, and me being 24 years old, I've been a Lightning fan my entire life, and he was Lightning's #1 draft pick in 1998. So he's won the Rocket Richard, most goals scored in one season for you non-hockey fans. He's won us our only Stanley Cup in 2004, and in 2008 he got us our King Clancy Memorial. Well, he actually received that award, which is the award for most contributions to your community. And I understand the business sense of why you would buy it out, because he did have a huge cap hit, and it was really hard to rebuild the team like we currently need to do with that. But it's one of the most painful things, and then even more painful is to see him go to somewhat rival the Flyers. I don't know that many Lightning fans that don't absolutely hate the Flyers. It's really easy to hate any team from Philly.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really know too many people who actually appreciate teams from Philly, whether it be the Eagles, the Phillies, or in your case the Flyers.
What I was actually hoping for was him to sign a 1-year deal somewhere, maybe even play in Sweden or the KHL for a year, and then hopefully come back to Tampa. But it looks like he just signed a 5-year deal with Philly, and he's getting paid $4.5 million per, and he has a no movement clause. So he looks like he's finishing up in Philly.
Yeah, it sounds like he's gonna be smacking around the Lightning a little while.
Yeah, a lot of big stuff happening. NHL free agency starts on Friday. The draft was just this past weekend, which is pretty interesting. Also important to note for you non-hockey fans, 2 African-American players drafted in the top 10 of the NHL this last weekend.
Jesus, they've already taken over basketball. They're on their way to take over baseball, and now they're moving into hockey. Yeah. Man, at least they're still soccer. But
I don't know. Soccer's still pretty dominated too.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, and Confederation Cup, the Brazil.
Not to be confused with a Brazil.
Brazil beat Spain for the first time in a non-friendly, I think, in like 26 years.
Yeah, that was played in Brazil also, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool to win in your home stadium and everything. I mean, I'm sure that the Miami Heat can relate to that. But so going back to talking about pissing away money and everything, Jamarcus Russell, how can we forget him? Number 1 pick out of LSU, just putting up amazing numbers with the Raiders. I think he accumulated 7 wins over his career with the Raiders.
Wow.
He actually won a case to get an extra $3 million from the Raiders. Keep in mind, this guy hasn't played a snap in, I want to say it's like 3 years.
Isn't he trying to get back? I mean, I saw an Instagram picture where he lost like 50 pounds now, and he's actually trying to get back into the NFL.
Okay, here's my opinion on that. You can lose weight, that's cool. You can get back in physical condition, but that still doesn't make there's nothing that's going to make you not a dumbass. And that was one of his problems, is that he was too incompetent to be a quarterback, and that's just not going to change.
More incompetent than Blaine Gabbert?
That's pretty harsh. That's pretty harsh. But no, I mean it's at least Blaine Gabbert was able to make a few more starts than what he did, and we're also not forking out nearly the amount of money that the Raiders did.
That's true.
So while we're talking about forking out money, well, before we go into that, I want to go ahead and jump down. We're going to go to the 19 firefighters that died in the Arizona wildfires. I was looking at the ages of these guys, and it was pretty unbelievable. A lot of these guys were still really, really young. I mean, we're talking 22, 23 guys our age that ended up dying in these wildfires. And these are people that don't expect a single bit of gratitude. They don't expect us to run up to them on the streets and everything and recognize them as heroes. But yet at the same time, we'll look at people like Jamarcus Russell. We'll look at people like Aaron Hernandez, like Michael Vick. We'll look at people like that and say, now that's a hero. That's a hero. But then these are guys that are getting arrested or just don't lead morally good lives, don't do anything for the benefit of others. But we're willing to recognize them as heroes, but we won't go up to these guys, these 19, in my opinion, heroes that give their lives for trying to save others.
Yeah, I think it's just the main. I mean, I definitely have more heroes toward military-based than I do sports-based, at least. But I think a part of it was just the mainstream, how the average person sees it when they think of their heroes. A lot of it, I have to believe, is just endorsements and money people get for being an athlete and the lifestyle around that. I mean, you don't really see. I mean, I think that's why they get much more attention than.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that how they're more publicized than what a firefighter or a police officer or anything like that is.
Before this happened, did you know there was an elite group of firefighters called the Hot Shots?
I actually did, but it was something that I ended up reading about very long time ago.
Before these fires, I had no idea that there was an elite firefighter group. I actually saw, I don't know, they have it on that 24 News channel that shows like what they're supposed to do. I thought it was pretty crazy how you like crawl underneath that sleeping bag space blanket thing.
Uh-huh.
I had no idea how that works at all, but
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a huge tragedy that those families are facing and everything, and I feel bad that they aren't, especially for like the youth.
right.
And that sounds really, old timey to say, the youth of our country and everything, but the kids growing up now, they look up to people like, you got your Miley Cyrus, who's out there trying, confused as to what gender she may be with her haircut and everything, and you just got, you kind of look at that and you're like, man, these are the people that our future is looking up to, instead of looking up to, one of the guys was he was a 22-year-old firefighter that just got out of the Marine Corps after 4 years and did the tour in Iraq. So I mean, they're looking up to people like, like Miley Cyrus and all these other athletes and Hollywood actors and stuff like that. They're looking at them as heroes, when really, in my opinion, they should be looking at people who are willing to sacrifice themselves to save or prolong other people's lives.
They should, but I again don't think they will, because there's no endorsement deal for someone who just retired from the Marine Corps. They're not going to be on TMZ being followed. They're not going to be driving a Lambo. So there's no publicity around it, and it's a thankless job most of the time for some people, and it's sad. I wish more people had the same viewpoint that we did, but unfortunately, I think the mainstream people are still not going to change.
Yeah, well, I think that, speaking of endorsements and all that, and talking about how, all these sports stars are driving these fancy cars and spending their money just at will. I think that maybe we should turn the tables. That people who are in public service positions doing, willing to sacrifice their lives, I think that they should be the ones receiving these multi-million per year contracts and stuff like that, as opposed to these people who go out and play a game for a living. Why don't they try reversing the roles of the salary and see how that goes?
I definitely think that the people in military service should make more money than they do.
Me too.
But they're not making money back. And those athletes, when they score, when they win championships, they sell things, they endorse products, and they make money back. And that's why they get the $1 million contract, because they're making money back. And you can't really make money back off a deployed veteran. And that sounds horrible to say. I think I have a horrible taste in my mouth now. But I think that's
let me zip up real quick.
That's the key difference. And one group can make money back for an organization, and one group really can't. And why is the NFL tax exempt? Any idea on that?
Couldn't even begin to tell you.
They need to look into that.
Well, the thing that I love about athletes' salaries and stuff like that, and especially in the NBA, if you look at it, I read it was a while ago that I read the statistics, so it may have changed, it may not have. I really don't know. I didn't read up on it to prepare for this, but when I read about it, it was something like, I want to say it was like 30 or 40% of just specifically NBA players, after they retire, they're bankrupt within a few years.
Yeah, I know most of the time it's the case with NFL players too. After like 3 or 4 years, they're bankrupt.
I mean, how many NFL Super Bowl winners have we heard of that take their Super Bowl rings and go pawn it off or anything like that?
Or how many Troy Aikmans have you seen doing those rent commercials?
Man, I'm so tired of seeing athletes on commercials. It's getting a little ridiculous. Derek Brooks now a proud Bright House representative.
Jeez.
It's horrible, but I mean, at the same time, I guess that we could be having our Super Bowl ring stolen by Russian presidents and
yeah,
with no monetary return.
It was really heartbreaking to see Phil Esposito, one of our the president of Lightning, or one of the founders of the Lightning organization, huge player for Canada, huge player for the Bruins, one of the legends of hockey. I don't know if anyone's ever watched the 1972 Summit Series, but it's basically Canada versus the USSR. It's a huge deal of democracy versus communism. and that guy's doing car commercials right now. It's really sad to see, but
You know what's really not sad to see though? I was looking at TMZ, just seeing if there was anything that would even be worth talking about on the website, and I did come across one thing, and Eric Decker, his wife, is just absolutely gorgeous. You need to pull up a picture
yeah,
of her
I'm
right
working on it right now.
right now.
No,
She is absolutely gorgeous.
no, I'm seeing his definitely one of the related responses is his wife, but they're definitely. I remember seeing on a Denver Broncos forum that they are getting their own reality TV show soon. I don't watch reality TV. I actually don't even have cable right now, but they are getting their own show, and from the look of these pictures, I'm probably gonna watch it.
Yeah, I was gonna say looking especially at that picture right there.
Yep.
It is definitely a show that I may sacrifice my little bit of morality and tune in. They may have actually just won a couple of viewers by those of you that decided to take the time to look up Eric Decker's wife.
Yeah, if you're at a computer right now, go to Google Images, type in Eric Decker wife. You will not be disappointed.
No, you will not be. I think that she's also like a country singer or something like that.
Yeah.
I just reading over the article briefly and gazing into her eyes for a little while.
Do you feel like being a Broncos fan now because of this?
No, not at all.
But they're going to win the Super Bowl this year.
You can go ahead and say that, think that. I don't care, and I don't care how hot their wives may be. I can't go for Frankenstein and his minions.
Fair enough.
But so when I was on TMZ, I was the very first article that I saw as soon as I got onto the website was one of the one of the Big Brother contestants decided to go the Paula Deen route and drop the N word, and now she's been fired for dropping it. Do you think that it's right for her to be fired? Do you think that she should continue with a bit of a warning, or I need you to stop looking up Eric Decker's wife? It's very distracting.
Oh, no, I was looking at something
else. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, yeah, they don't want any negative publicity, so they're gonna fire and. I mean, I've never even watched Big Brother. I'm sure it's not a show worth watching. It's reality TV and it's garbage.
Exactly.
But I like how now like dropping that derogatory mark is Paula Deen. If you would have said it 2 years ago, it was a Michael Richards when he blew up in that comedy club.
Yep.
Like this is just gonna keep happening every couple of years. There was that ridiculous, horrible CNN show I saw at the gym the other day, where there was like the N word. Is it okay to use? And it had like a bunch of dudes on there talking about if it's ever okay to say it. Of course, they're never gonna say it's okay to say it.
No, it's not okay to say it. I mean, I've talked to a few black people, and I'll talk to them and I ask them, well, in your opinion, do you think it's right? And I think that the most intelligent remark that I got out of the entire thing was one of the people I was speaking to. She says, there's a difference between a black person and a fill in the blank. And do I think it's right for you to use those words? No, it's not right for anybody to use those words. Black, white, Hispanic, Indian, it doesn't matter. But when you're looking at people, there's two different sects. And that's SECTS, not SCX. Just want to go ahead and throw that out there. There's like she said, there's black people and there's the other, and most black people aren't gonna look at themselves and say, oh, I'm the other because I use this or because I do that or because I do this. It's all about how you present yourself.
But it's just also just like there's Caucasians and there's white trash. I saw an article today on TBO. It was a couple years old, but there was a feral child found in Plant City, Florida, because this lady locked this 7-year-old girl, and this is a white girl, and a white family, in a room by herself for 7 years. She was like 7 years old and weighed 46 pounds, had no communication methods at all, and was basically, it was some form of autism. It was like environmental autism. So I mean, like, yeah, they can say that there's two type of people, but that works for every single side. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Realistically, there's shitty people and there's non-shitty people.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about how you present yourself, how you carry yourself. And honestly, in my opinion, I think it comes down to how you treat other people.
Yeah.
And going back to what you read, there actually was case studies in, I want to say it was like the 20s or the 30s, as to how children separated from mothers would act and everything, and how children raised, in complete darkness and stuff like that would act. And there is forms of autism that come from lack of human contact,
Right.
and that it's something that we don't really realize that we need human contact in order to be able to survive. And no matter how much I say, oh yeah, I enjoy being a hermit, I enjoy being alone and everything, yes, everybody needs their alone time, but at the same time everybody needs that human contact with one another, no matter how painful that may be whenever you have to get out into the world of mouth breathers and cousin humpers.
Everyone needs those couple of Snapchats a day.
Exactly. Just a couple Snapchats a day, it'll keep you going.
That's the new adoption commercial. For just 3 Snapchats a day, you can help change this kid's life.
God, as long as they don't get any like Sarah McLachlan ASPCA music going on, that will be good.
Please don't ever Snapchat me pictures of dogs that need to be adopted. Those commercials get to me every single time. I have to fight not to adopt one because I really want to.
Exactly, and that's something that I don't understand why people don't do more often. We're way off topic here, but I mean, I don't understand why people don't do that more often. Why they don't adopt animals? Why they would rather go out and buy a dog or buy a cat when there's so many that are in shelters and everything that they need good homes. My dog, no matter how mentally incapable he may be, is an adopted dog, and I love that dog to death. I treat him like a kid.
I saw a lab rescue picture of a dog named Gus. He was like 5 years old. He looked like a badass dog. I see myself chilling with him all the time. But my girlfriend really wants a puppy. And
you can get puppies from the shelter. I mean, they have that all the time, that there's puppies coming from the shelter. But that's the problem with a lot of Americans. They want something new. They don't want used. And something that I never understood is whenever I was going and looking at adopting my dog, is there was dogs in the shelter that were like 7, 8 years old. I mean, these are dogs that had a good home. Well, maybe not a good home, but had a home. That these people kept that dog as part of the family and then just got rid of him like he was just an old product that they didn't need anymore. And I think that whenever you make a step that big, that that that's something that it's almost like adopting a child. You're bringing a living being into your household, and that's something that you need to take responsibility for. And I'm sorry, even though they may get annoying by peeing on the carpet sometimes, or they may get annoying by their never-ending pacing, it's still a living being that you are responsible for taking care of.
Yeah, no one forced you to go buy a dog. If you're going to commit to it, then commit to it. It's not the dog's fault that you're barely able to take care of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah,
Sickening.
I think as long as you can provide for yourself, as long as you can provide for the dog, I mean, those are just things that they meet. They're greater than the importance of you wanting to go out on a Saturday night, but you can't because you have to stay home with your dog. There's been plenty of nights that I've declined going out, declined hanging out and stuff like that, just because I've left my dog alone all day. And just like dogs, they are just like humans. They need interaction. They need someone around them all the time.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I don't have a dog right now. Because sometimes when I'm driving home from work, I see 275. I'm like, you know what? I could go down to St. Pete Beach right now if I wanted to. I don't have that responsibility, and that's the best for my situation. So I don't. So for people that don't have the foresight to think that they might have to give some of that stuff up, it's really sickening and really childish.
Exactly, and honestly, I think that there's just some people who are cut out to own animals and cut out to have children and stuff like that, and then there's other people that they should just not reproduce and they should not have.
Do you think there also might need to be like almost a test or some kind of, I don't know, before you can just adopt a dog, that you need to be able to prove that you can take care of one?
Well, whenever I went and adopted Darwin, they did require some proof that A, he was going to be living in a good home, and B, also that the apartment complex that I was living in was actually going to allow him to be there. And they were telling me that if the apartment complex doesn't allow dogs this weight no, I'm not allowed to adopt him because of their fear of having to take this dog back into the shelter.
Right.
And that's something I fully support. Now, as far as having tests and everything to get dogs or cats or any kind of animal, I think that there should be some kind of look into your monthly income compared to your monthly expenditure, because a lot of people aren't going to be willing to cut certain things out of their life to provide for their animals. But on the same term, I believe it should be that way for kids also, because there's some people who are just not capable of having kids.
That just reminded me. I desperately want to go to the Publix next to my house and go go pick up a 6-pack of really nice expensive beer, and also pick up like a 20-pack of Huggies, and get up to the cashier and then just pause for a moment and be like, all right, can we put the Huggies back? And then take the beer and go home. I've been desperately wanting to do that for the past at least 2 weeks, and I really can't wait to do it. I just don't know if I can bring myself to it or not. I would think it's hilarious, but it might ruin someone else's day.
You know, if there was a way that you could record their expression whenever you ask that, it would be great. Because I mean, I've seen it firsthand where people will go into a store and they'll come, they'll go into the store, they'll have 2 kids with them, they'll be grabbing diapers, but then they'll go and grab like a case of beer and some cigarettes or something like that. They'll come up and they'll be like, oh, well, I don't have enough money for all of these. So then they have to choose between their 2 vices and their offspring as to which one they're going to actually support. But so you mentioned St. Pete Beach, and I think that's a great segue into one of our topics, which is the St. Pete bar manager that rather roughly escorted out one of his customers. Did you happen to read into that or hear anything about it?
I didn't get the article, but I did hear some of it on Jugarabo's show. And one thing I think definitely needs to happen is his employer needs to pay for his legal fees. That's part of your job, where you're a bouncer and you have to remove someone if they're being physically hostile or not, and that's your job to get them out of there. And then something like this happens, there needs to be some kind of insurance, and your employer needs to take care of your legal bills. That needs to happen.
Yeah, well, the way I look at it is he was a bar manager. He wasn't even a bouncer. He was just a bar manager. He was there to make sure things were running smoothly. He was there to promote the bar. He was there, just in a managerial way. He was there to provide like an overview of the bar to help everything along with its income. Now, the way I look at it is that if you're short-staffed on bartenders, sometimes as a manager, you're gonna have to step into that role as a bouncer, and you're gonna have to remove somebody. This guy's blood alcohol level, the guy that is he's in a coma right now. This guy, his blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit.
Oh.
Now, when he goes in there, part of me wants to blame the bouncer at the door for letting him in. But we can go ahead and sidestep that for a second and say, okay, maybe the bouncer didn't realize what he was letting him in. Maybe he appeared to be coherent enough to be allowed into the bar. So the guy goes into the bar, starts harassing the bartender. The bartender cuts him off and says, you got to leave. Completely within the bartender's rights to do so. They're allowed to cut people off when they want. They're allowed to ask people to leave when they want. And if things get out of hand, then you can call for a bouncer to come in and handle the situation.
Right.
Now, the manager comes over because I guess that there's not bouncers available, whatever the case may be. Comes over, the guy starts getting a little rough. He puts him in a chokehold, escorts him outside, gives him a shove. Once he gets outside, the guy falls down face first into the concrete, fractures multiple bones in his face, and is in a coma. Now,
I think once he got to the point where you're going to put this guy in a chokehold, one, you better have some kind of training that you're not going to choke him out and give him any brain damage. And 2, I think when you put anyone in a chokehold, whether you're fucking around with your friends or you're removing someone from a bar, you got to know that you can't just drop them or let somebody go. If they're passed out, you need to at least try to set them down. You can't just toss them out and hope that they're all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also at this point you have to think adrenaline's taking over, so he's not really thinking like a proper person would. He's not thinking, yeah, this guy could end up falling down, whatever. Now, this guy falls pretty much anywhere else. This guy doesn't go into a coma. This doesn't even make news. Nothing's brought up one bit about it. But the fact the guy goes into a coma, now they're digging into this bar manager's past, and they're bringing up the fact that he was actually arrested once before for a very similar situation. So people are condemning this guy, saying, "Oh no, what he did was wrong. What he did was wrong," based on his past actions when it comes to that. But like I said, if this guy doesn't go into a coma, it doesn't get the media attention it has right now. It doesn't get people talking about it, and it doesn't get this guy getting looked at as some kind of criminal.
Right. It's part of the bar staff's fault for giving him that much alcohol. I mean, I guess on a busy night, I've never been a bartender, but I'm sure it's hard to keep track, and you really don't notice until it's too late. I mean, that's at least in my experience of going out and drinking. Until it's too late, you don't know that you've had too much. But I mean, I really think if you're gonna go out, if you're gonna be that guy to put someone in chokehold, you better at least have enough. And yeah, adrenaline's definitely part of it. But if you're having to hoist someone up and you're assuming it's a 180, 200-pound person, you can't just let that just fall over or toss it out. You gotta at least make some attempt.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's one of those things that you have to think, and you have to be able to use some kind of attempt that some kind of common sense, and make some kind of attempt to set this person down, gently and all that, to avoid any kind of confrontation. But do you think it's right for them to be saying, well, he committed a crime like this in the past, so should he really have been in that position to make the move and decision that he did?
No, he shouldn't have, and he wasn't a bouncer, so he shouldn't have been the guy to remove him. They should have staff to be able to deal with that, to be able to call the guy a cab if he needs to be able. I mean, that's as much as people think bouncers are there just to be the asshole that wears the tight shirt and make sure that you have your ID to let you in. They're supposed to be able, as part of their job, to remove people safely from the bar. And if they can't do that, then you shouldn't be a bouncer. And in this case, he wasn't, and they weren't properly staffed, and now they're facing the repercussions from it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that if this guy, once he comes out of his coma, he's definitely going to.
He's definitely going to sue them.
Oh yeah, he's definitely going to sue him, and I got a feeling that bar is going to end up going out of business because of it.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So during that whole rant, I was looking at some movies that have been out for 10 years now. And when you say 10 years and you look back at it, you're like, oh, that's not, terribly long ago. But for us, that's almost like half a lifetime.
Right.
So looking at some of the movies that came out like 10 years ago, can you believe that Bruce Almighty, Nemo, or Finding Nemo, Pirates of the Caribbean, as well as Old School, have all been out for 10 years now?
Wow. I do love some Old School too. I need to rewatch that movie.
That's crazy. And there was something that came up the other day. We were talking about it, and Saving Private Ryan got brought up, and somebody told me the date when that movie came out.
Right.
One of the best World War II movies of all time, in my opinion. And on top of that, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Definitely.
That movie came out in 1997.
Jeez, I was 8 years old.
So long ago. It's just ridiculous how fast things are going and everything.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie with Tom Hanks that I didn't like. I love Castaway.
Yep.
I love The Terminal.
Yep.
I love. I saw, what was the most recent one? Cloud Atlas. Cloud Atlas.
I never saw that movie, but his movies that he came out with, oh, my mind just went blank. Oh, this is gonna kill me now that I can't think of it. Oh man, they were two movies.
He was in Toy Story.
No, not Toy Story. Even though that has been out for a while, that's not the ones I'm thinking of. They came out. I know one of them came out like 2007 or 2008. It was. Oh man, yeah. Let me see that list.
Da Vinci Code.
Yes, the Da Vinci Code. Thank you. Those movies were awesome.
Never saw those.
It really pains me that I couldn't think of the title, but but they were both really good movies. I'm looking at this one right here. What a Girl Wants came out 10 years ago, and I'm looking at Amanda Bynes, and that is back when she was sane.
Yeah, before she got all cracked out, was wearing wigs.
I'm just waiting for her to go Britney Spears and shave her head.
I don't know. Was she wearing a wig because she shaved her head, or what happened with that?
I don't know. I think she's just psycho.
I honestly never checked TMZ, so I don't know what the current.
This isn't even TMZ. I don't know what's going on.
It's 10 years.
The Lizzie McGuire movie. Wow. But yeah, no, it was just I was really surprised whenever the date for Saving Private Ryan was brought up. I was really surprised at how long ago that was.
That's insane.
But so
What's the 20th anniversary of Sandlot coming out? That movie
yeah,
came out when we were kids. I remember owning that on a VCR.
yeah, that movie was great. Definitely, probably one of my favorite movies. Great baseball movie.
Yeah.
But so with all this weather we've been having and everything, it's actually a lot of people have been complaining because it's been raining so much and it's just been absolutely miserable with all the with all the rain, the
Why is
thunder,
it
the lightning.
always a shock that it rains in Florida? It's always like I don't understand how much topic conversation it is that people still like. Oh, it's raining so much. I hate it. Like you realize it's summer and it's in Florida.
Yeah, I don't really know what everybody's deal with it is. I mean, it's pretty much expected for it to be raining in Florida in the summertime.
Yeah.
But I'm actually really thankful it's been raining lately because with the 4th of July coming up, I'm not really a fan of fireworks, and it's kind of kept all the dummies down. Like, there hasn't been too many fireworks going off for the past couple nights.
Yeah, I thought I heard one out the window a little bit ago, and I was like, I'm not sure if that was a firework or if that could have just been gunshots, because it is Temple Terrace, so you never really know.
You never really know, and I guess around here, whenever you are not able to get fireworks, you may as well just run out and pop off a few rounds. But no, it kind of has me wondering if people are going to be shooting their fireworks off like crazy tomorrow night or not. I'm really hoping not because, like I said, I'm not too much of a fan of them. So the less fireworks, the better, in my opinion.
I just think they're a waste of money. I mean, I like watching them. I guess the shows, that maybe like professionally run shows, might be cool to go to sometimes. But for me personally, I'm not going to go spend $60 on a pack of mortars to launch them out my driveway.
Yeah, I mean when I was a kid it was cool. It was cool to do. But then I got older and less stupid and realized that not only is it a giant waste of money, but it is rather annoying to have constant booms be going off.
And just clean shit up, and it's just not worth it.
Exactly. I'm too lazy for all that.
So,
But it is to celebrate our country's freedom that we go out and shoot these fireworks.
right.
Which makes plenty of sense to me, considering that the origin of fireworks is China. But
So what's your big plans for the holiday?
I am going to be sitting in my living room on my couch with a blanket over my head, cuddling with my dog.
Is your Thunder Buddy?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna sing the Thunder Buddy song?
Thunder Buddies for life.
I plan on working out as fast as possible tomorrow morning so that I can immediately just start drinking beer. So I can go extremely hungover into work on Friday.
That's always a good choice. Hungover at work always seems like it's a good decision. Come in reeking of alcohol. Don't even bother to shower. Just go straight into work.
I mean, to be honest, sometimes I just go and drink some more on my lunch break anyway. So
I think that you should just go in there with a flask and go ahead and drink at work.
yeah, what's stopping me? I could probably do my job drunk. I've done several other computer jobs drunk. There's nothing really hard about it. All my job is just Googling shit for people.
I mean, Google is quite the amazing tool, although Bing has become quite the adversary for him.
Yeah, Bing has there's certain searches that Bing is superior for, and there's certain things that Google is great for.
So what you're saying is you use Bing for searching for porn only.
No, there's like Bing images. It depends what you're looking for, but there's pros and cons to each. So you can't really just say like Google's better than Bing or Bing's better than Google. Everything's subjected to what you use it for.
Right.
Just like you have an iPhone and I have an Android phone.
Well, I mean, my iPhone is great because I can go visit those porn sites and not get any kind of virus or repercussion on my phone.
It's true.
So I do appreciate being able to do that and being virus free. It's the way to be.
Well, at least virus free on your iPhone.
Well, yeah, I mean, well,
There's something that soap doesn't handle.
there's medicine for everything.
Okay.
Hey, Magic Johnson can attest to that.
Yep.
But I by no means have the money that Magic Johnson does to be able to fork out on any kind of control such as that.
So don't get AIDS.
So don't get. Moral of today's story: don't get AIDS.
Unless
That
you're
is
Magic Johnson.
unless you're Magic Johnson and can afford your anti-AIDS treatment. Oh, oh man, we're going to hell. But so I know that we had a couple inputs from our listening audience this past week.
Well, thanks for writing in. I appreciate any topics you guys want to hear about. We definitely try to fit them in and give us our special viewpoint.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely appreciate being able to get your guys' input and do what we could with it. You have any more suggestions? Feel free to either send them in on the Facebook page or email them to us at depressiverealismshow@gmail.com. Although we may not respond, we definitely view them and they are all greatly appreciated.
All right, always make sure you like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, we